Hello and welcome to the 10x Growth Strategies podcast. I'm Madhavi Ravanan, an engineering leader at Nokia. Let's go and meet our guest for this episode, Anoop Bhaskaran. Hi, Anoop. Good morning and a very warm welcome into the 10x Growth Strategies podcast.
Good morning, Madhavi. A very
Yeah,
good morning to you.
yeah. Thank
Uh,
you.
First of all, thank you so much for letting me part of this podcast that you are doing. It's amazing stuff. Very,
Okay,
very delighted and honored to be here. Thank you
sure.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure as well. So, before we get started, Anoop, if you can introduce yourself a bit.
Okay. Uh, Let me do this this way. Uh, from a personal perspective, I am a native of Kerala, brought up in Chennai, married to a Hyderabadi. So finished Kerala, Chennai, Hyderabad, worked in Bangalore. So career progressed. So I started with being a field support engineer in Chennai. Then I moved on to customer support, into operations. So as I told you, wife is from Hyderabad, marriage happened, and we moved over to Gurgaon. And for the last 10 plus years, we are here and with the telecom. So that's my we have a daughter who is studying in college. So that's how it's going. Things are good.
Amazing. Yeah,
Yes.
amazing. Thanks, Anoop.
Thank you
So,
very much.
I know you are an avid reader. You read lots and lots of books. And I'm just curious, when did your this habit start? What kinds of books do you read? And roughly, what number of books a year? What time of the day works best for you for reading and so on? Tell us a little bit about it, and then we'll get into the actual conversation, Anoop.
Perfect, perfect. So to be very honest, I will not bluff by saying that, oh, I've been like this from childhood. I'm an average student from that perspective. Somewhere when schooling was getting over, a very good friend of mine started sharing books with me just for some time pass, and that somehow caught on. And so while finishing college and start working for time pass, you start working, you start reading, and I'll not put my interest levels into a particular genre. Anything that picks my interest, I go by it. So so over the course of time, I started with novels when the friend gave, uh, and slowly migrated from there. And now it is more about anything that interests you in terms of management or leadership, or that makes you think. It is not that you just read for the purpose. See, okay, let me put it this way. I don't read for the purpose of remembering everything that I read. That is not the purpose, at least for me, because I've seen many people who are able to rattle off so many things that they read from a book and all. I am not from that this thing. But when I enjoy something, I keep marking them, underlining them, so that at some point in time, you feel that you want to know about a topic, you enjoy reading something, you take that book. Obviously, you can't reread that entire book, but the moment you flip through that and you come across your underlines over there, it takes you back in time and you start rethinking about that. So that's how I love reading. And there is no set time to read. I read predominantly, I read before hitting the bed and morning when I get up. So both times I try to cover up. So that way I try to maximize the time.
Lovely. And do you want to share your metric on how many books a year you do, Anoop, or is that a
Oh no,
secret of yours?
no secret as such, honestly. See, um, there is no target as such to cover. I keep one thing I learned early on is, again from one of these books or articles or somewhere, where someone said that it doesn't matter whether you are reading every book that you purchase. There'll be many
True.
books that you purchase and it stays in your
I think
cupboard
that's
somewhere.
Naval Ravikant's statement, if I am right.
Yeah. So the most important thing that matters is you first purchase that book, have that book with you. The rest will flow. And that's what happened with me. So
Okay. Okay. You have
So
nicely.
just to put a number, if you want, see, it might not be correct, but at least a month a book,
Okay.
sometimes more than a book, something like that.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks,
Yeah.
Anu. Thanks for sharing that
Thank
with
you.
us.
Yes.
Now, when we met last week for the first time in over several
Yes.
years of interacting over Yammer, and we were engaged on that book club community, right? We met
Yes.
last week, and
Yes.
I was suggesting you be a guest on this podcast, and immediately you said you wanted to talk about Creativity Incorporated, right? So
Yes.
why is that book special to you? Why do you think
Okay.
that book is hyper relevant for us?
Okay. First of all, that interaction of ours was is truly cherished. I really was happy to meet you, and we had a very even though we were in the midst of our office work, it was very short, but still it was very engaging session. So the moment you said there is such an opportunity, the first thing it hit my thought was this book. I'll tell you why. Since you're asking why this book, why not? There are many books that are interesting, many stuff. One theme that I keep constantly coming across with friends, colleagues, everybody is I find everybody wants to read books, but many of them cannot do that. Nothing wrong with that, because it's not that everybody should be able to read books. But the first thing that they say is, oh, the moment I take a book, I feel asleep. So, so there is something, some kind of aversion towards book. Now, we at the same time, we all are working, we all introspect at various points in time, and we all want to improve. This book is a, a, something of a magic. I'll tell you why. Let me ask you a simple question. Do you remember the movie Toy Story?
Oh yeah, I think I had gone to the theater to watch that movie with my kids probably.
Yes,
And I remember that one single character, Anoop, Woody the cowboy
absolutely.
doll, right?
Absolutely. No, no, fabulous. Now you just think Woody or Buzz Lightyear, all of these characters from the movie Toy Story is something, can you believe it came about close to 30 years back? 1995 or something was the release. Imagine, why does something stick to our thought process, or it is in our memory for 30 long years, and we are able to instantly connect back? Because this, along with, I'll tell you a few other names just for the purpose of discussion. Bug's Life, Monsters, Finding Nemo, Ratatouille. All of these books are coming from the stable of Pixar movies done by this author, Ed Catmull.
Got it.
Not only him, Ed Catmull, along with John Lasseter and the legend Steve Jobs. These three people, along with many others, they have come together to create these movies. And this author, Ed Catmull, has summarized all of his learnings of the past 30, 40 years into a book form. Now, this resonates well with our corporate working culture and movies, which many of us love. So, if someone wants to pick up a book for the heck of start reading and enjoy reading while at the same time correlate that with our working environment, this Creativity Inc. should be the book that they should look for. Nothing more. They should not look anywhere else. That's my
Amazing.
and the book does not have any jargons. It
Amazing.
That's the best part, because there are many books which are high on jargons. You really need a dictionary to read. That is one of the reasons people put off any book. This book does not have any of those. It is just like author is talking to you. He's taking you through that 30, 40 years of journey of this entire movie industry. It's a beautiful one.
Lovely. Lovely, Anup. Like you said, I think those are the three people who have been behind, let's say, uh, founding Pixar to taking it to the level of being the most successful animation studio in the world, right? So, can you
Exactly.
introduce all three of them?
Okay. Okay. Uh, See, Ed Catmull, actually from childhood, I'm telling from his 60s, 70s, whenever, has been dreaming about Disney. Walt Disney at that time had come out with their animations, drawings, hand drawn drawings, all of those, and he has been watching them in the TV in his room. So he has dreamt about something he wants to do in animation in some creative field from his childhood. He, at one point in time, goes and joins Lucasfilms. We'll discuss more about that as we go along. And John Lasseter happens to come as a visitor to the place where uh, Catmull is there. And as years go by, they are struggling to make an animation movie and all of those in computer animated stuff. Just the initial stages of computer and all of those. There comes Steve Jobs, and it was only pure timing that it happened. Because if you go through the book, we'll all realize that there were many reasons why this should not have happened. But still, they come together, and after that, it's history. What they
Yeah.
see, yeah. So that's the way they come across. And let me be very candid. Even though this book is written by Ed Catmull, this book is about Pixar. Uh, if somebody doesn't stop me, I'll go on and on about Steve Jobs.
Sure.
That's what.
I'll let you go on in a while on that, Anup. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like you said, I think Ed Catmull's childhood or his aspiration since childhood had been to become an animator, and his role
true.
models, I understand, have been, Walt Disney and Albert Einstein and so on, right? He
Correct.
does a doctorate in computer graphics, oh, sorry, computer science, and then he's working
Yes.
in the New York Institute of Technology. I think at that point in time, he gets an opportunity to visit
Yes.
Disney. Then I
Yes.
understand that something happened there, and that is
Yes.
some sort of a turning point in his professional life, if I am right.
Very
But
true.
can you talk about
Yes.
it, Anup? Yeah.
Yes. So this is something when I was reading that particular piece, I have read that many times over. I'll tell you why. Because when we dream about something for about, say, 20 years, and you get an opportunity to do exactly that, we will not even blink. But that's not what happens here. So Ed Catmull dreams about Disney and having an opportunity to work in the Disney establishment from childhood. He's good in drawing and all of those things. He finishes his University of certifications and all of those. So the chief over there asks him to visit Disney to probably try and promote the animation that they are developing for Disney to engage them so that they will have a commercial stuff uh, deal. When he walks in, you can literally imagine that 20 years of pent up emotion coming up, saying he's driving through those blocks, what all he has dreamt, and he is talking to them. But he feels very disappointed with the way they respond to him. They don't share the same enthusiasm of what Walt Disney is known for. So, because the management has changed, people have changed, so many things have happened during that 20 years. But they offer him an opportunity to work with them. So that's what I said. When someone dreams about something for that long, and the Disney, very same Disney, offers him a job or opportunity to work, anybody would have jumped. But he says, I did not want to end up doing the rest of my life designing games and all of those things for Disney. I am into animation. I want to be in a creative space. So he says no, and he walks off. Just imagine how big
Interesting.
that should be,
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
it? Saying
Amazing.
no is something that is almost impossible for all of us. And that
That too
shows
at such
about
a
his
young age, right?
young
You're
age,
quite
hardly
young. Yeah.
20s,
Yeah.
20, 25, something like that. And he says no, walks back, and he goes on to other things. So that shows his focus, that clarity, that vision, all of those purpose. So we all need to get that.
Yeah, I understand. Getting there at such a young age is the challenge, Anup. I think
Yes,
slightly
yes.
as we grow in our years, we become slightly more wiser and
Matured, yeah,
whatnot,
wiser,
matured,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Our
Uh,
personal experiences takes us through, but
yeah.
he is like that at that age. Just then imagine he has gone on to create the rest of his life. He has done magic. So
Yeah.
I always use this term for him.
Amazing. Amazing. Nice to know that, Anup. Now,
Yes.
you wanted to go on and on and on about Steve Jobs, right? Now, you go on about his negotiation skills, right? Even I enjoyed
Oh, yeah.
learning about, how he handled Pixar-related negotiations. So,
Yes, yes,
you tell
yes.
me what you enjoyed about his negotiation skills.
Okay. So before that, let us take a small pause, a detour, because I really want to touch upon the second key character in this trio of John Lasseter entry into this particular setup,
Okay.
because that's really, really, very interesting. So as I told, there is this point where Edward Catmull says no to Disney's offer, goes back, and while I think the university, he gets at that time George Lucas is a really big name. He has come with a movie, American Graffiti or something like that, which is a major hit and all of those things. So he wants to introduce animation and kind of whatever computer graphics, animation, all of those. So he was looking for someone to take over that. So they reach out to Ed Catmull in the university or wherever he is, which is like he says, "Oh my goodness, these guys are walking in, and it's going to be a big problem." But then they have a decent negotiation. He goes and joins George Lucas. So
Got
George
it.
Lucas, at that point in time, just just to focus more on the word purpose and focus, I'm just bringing in the story. Says people advise George Lucas to, because American Graffiti movie is a huge success. They say now you are a big star as a director, you need to increase your remuneration for the movie that's Star Wars that is in the making.
Okay.
That's the purpose for which Ed Catmull has been roped in. But see the focus of uh, George Lucas. He says, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go that path. My purpose is not to do what everybody does. He says, just give me the merchandising rights and the distributorship of my movie.
Okay.
So the guys who are funding them say, what? Okay, not a big deal. Just take that. The moment they do that, Star Wars literally changed the entire landscape of Hollywood, and George Lucas is a giant into himself. So while so this shows the purpose and focus of George Lucas as a person. Then at that point in time, all the giants whom we are aware of, Steven Spielberg or what is his name? The other giants, Martin Scorsese, all of these people come visit Lucasfilm to see what they are doing. During one of those visits from Disney, there is a batch of young students or people who come in to see the same thing what these guys are doing. That's when there is one guy in jeans, baggy green, walks in, and he is so much riveted with what's being shown around by Ed Catmull. He asks so many questions and he discusses. So they establish an instant rapport. Then at that moment, uh, he tells about a possible story. I'm saying about John Lasseter, about a toaster, uh, a lamp, and two, three other household articles going to the city to meet their original owner from the woods. So this guy is also interested. Ed Catmull says, "Wow, this is a very beautiful, unheard of story." So let us think about it. But when John Lasseter goes back to Disney and narrates such a possibility that we can join hands with these guys and we can develop, imagine what happens. He loses his job. So when he loses his job, these guys again come in contact and they start discussing this possibility. So that later is the one which transforms into Toy Story.
Got it.
Imagine if Disney Films had done that, it would have been something unimaginable to
Yeah.
Disney, but somehow they let
Entirely
go
different story.
entirely. Now, all of this happens, and George Lucas is unfortunately undergoing severance or a separation from his wife and all of those things. Again, he had the opportunity to take this animation picture ahead, but instead he says, no, my focus is on action movies. I want to spin it off. Now they are looking for someone to purchase this. That's when Steve Jobs comes into picture. So from then on, the Steve Jobs, George Lucas, and Ed Catmull and uh, uh, uh,
John, maybe.
this guy, John Lasseter, these three come together and they go on to create lovely association. They're
Yeah,
there together for life after that,
yeah,
literally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
so, so
Thanks
that's
for.
the journey. It's very, very. So see, now we are all connecting this on a book from the story told by Ed Catmull. But if you see, this all happened over a period of 10, 15 years. And
Yeah,
imagine at the time when Steve Jobs is entering to fund these people, he is having his own challenges. And that is the moment when he is being ousted from the Apple that he founded. And he is also busy developing his next company, next computers. Imagine the time and space that these guys are having to focus on these many aspects in one given day of 24 hours, like you and me.
yeah.
So these are goosebumps.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Yeah, that's certainly an amazing journey that they've all had, or continue
Yes,
to have in partnership,
continue to have.
Anup. Yeah. And yeah, I know you'll be very keen to talk about Steve Jobs, but in the interest of time, I'll jump to
Yes,
the
yes,
core theme of the book itself, Anup. I think
yes,
the primary theme is about the culture that they have created at Pixar, which they claim that has led to them enjoying the kind of stupendous success that they've enjoyed, right?
correct,
So one
correct.
important aspect is what Ed Catmull calls as the brain trust. He's
Absolutely.
right. So can you
Yes,
talk about that? What exactly it is,
yes,
and how it works and
yeah.
things. Yeah,
Okay. So this throughout the book, he makes it a point to he makes it a point to make it very clear that this concept of brain trust is not his or the three about whom we are talking about. Just see, he is very giving very clear credit to where it belongs. He says during the making of Toy Story of about that 3-4 years after the setup comes into play, some 4 or 5 of the people involved during the making process, they start discussing on a regular basis about where the story can improve, where they are going wrong, and all of those. So by the time they finish this movie and the movie is a huge success, they have realized that whatever they did, these 4 or 5 of them did, of dissecting the movie as the movie was in progress, has helped them a lot. So they started doing that as a process from their next movies onwards. All those movies that we discussed just now has undergone this process. So brain trust is the name that they finally gave it to that. What does that mean? They say when you give the authority of making the movie to the director, yes, he is the captain of the ship, no doubt on that. But he or she can also make mistakes or can be blindsided by some things. So you need everybody's input to keep assessing, not at the end of the movie making. At that time, you have spent enough time, resources, all of money, everything. So he says they decided that as the movie is being, they have something in their jargon called rushes or something like that. So you bring it back, all of them come together in a room, unemotional, dissecting every single scene. So that is the entire process of brain trust that he says, all of you go through this half an hour, 1 hour, whatever has been done, and share your view. And that entire process where they do that particular activity of discussion, dissecting it, is the what they call the brain trust. Here again, I would like to add upon. He says very, very clearly, keep your ego outside when you come in, because it so happens that when you voice out, someone gets offended. He says, you are not your idea. Separate this. That's a very, very beautiful stuff
yeah,
that you can see,
very powerful
right?
point.
Because we get offended when someone challenges our opinion or our
Exactly.
what we our statement. He says, keep it outside, keep it detached. So you are opinionating, you have a view, someone is questioning that from their perspective. So honor that and take it forward. We'll have a very, very fruitful outcome. And that's so it becomes a norm within their ecosystem.
Yeah,
So that's the entire concept of brain stuff.
amazing and inspiring, Anup.
Yes.
And yeah. Now,
So
yeah,
he
go
says,
ahead.
sorry, he just says the film itself, not the filmmaker, is under the microscope. So he is telling detached. When we say detach the ego and the person, so it is detaching you and the filmmaker. And one profound thing you will see there is, even though they are undergoing this brain trust process, they make it very clear at the end of the day, it is the director's call. You take all the input. The director says, no, I don't believe in any of these things. Perfect. It is perfect. Just imagine that takes
Amazing.
guts for an organization, because they know
Exactly.
that, correct, they have to trust the captain. That's no way. But they are only saying that take the feedback from everybody, then take your decision.
Amazing.
So it is creativity, ownership, everything comes
Cutting
at
your
that point
ego
in
to
time.
size as well, right?
Size, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Keep it aside, keep it outside the door and walk into this room.
Yeah. Amazing. Very easy said, but very hard to inculcate that in our day-to-day behaviors, I guess. But this is a good
Very
reminder.
true.
Yeah, this is a
Very
good
true. Very
reminder.
true. Very good reminder.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Anoop. Now, what are some of your favorite quotes from the book, Anoop?
Uh, okay, there are the book is full of quotes. To be very honest, I'll just tell two of them.
Okay.
One is of Walt Disney. That instantly comes to mind. It says, "When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are."
Okay.
Just imagine, right? We all
Yeah.
fear to dream big. We all fear to dream big. That's the inherent fear is there in everyone.
Right.
But that quote itself is so profound. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you. So that encompasses everything. Actually, it doesn't
Lovely.
matter who you are. Just wish for it, go
Yeah.
for it, work for it, and it will fall in places. So that's one that comes to my mind. And the other one from Ed Catmull is, if you give a good idea, this resonates more to our corporate setup.
Yeah.
So I keep revisiting that. It says, if you give a good idea to a mediocre team, they will screw it. If you
Wow.
give a mediocre idea to a brilliant team, they will either fix it or throw it away and come up with something better. That's the last part is very important, because
Amazing.
normally what happens is people, they don't do that and they throw it away. They don't even
Yeah.
come back. So
Yeah.
here he says, if you give a very mediocre idea to someone, they will either fix it or they will throw it out and come back with something better. So
Better.
because this entire brain trust topic revolves around the team coming together. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
says, get your team right, because during the conversation also, the book conversation where they get in all the people who are involved. They ask, who is more important? Is it the process or the team? So they have a debate. Then he says, if you don't have a proper team, then what is your process worth?
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
just cannot put a process and say that, oh, I will go by this process. That's it.
Amazing.
So
Yeah. Brilliant, Anup. I think business success is entirely dependent on us being able to attract and retain and keep
correct,
brilliant teams together, right?
correct,
Amazing.
correct.
Yeah.
Without
Great.
hurting anybody.
Yeah, yeah. Great conversation, Anup. Anything that you would
I'm
like to share
enjoying it.
before we close? Before we close, any closing notes from you, Anup?
Okay. Too short a conversation.
Sure.
Maybe we should
Yeah.
have a longer podcast, or
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
conversation. Isn't it? So okay. Now, since I have already confessed to being a big Steve Jobs fan, I'll go back and let me be very honest on this also. It's not that I've been always like this from Steve Jobs' perspective. I'll be candid, because there is one other many books on Steve Jobs where you get a mixed feeling about, which is a very more popular book, where
Yeah.
you get a mixed
Maybe
feedback about
Walter
Steve Jobs.
Isaacson's
Walter Isaacson, absolutely.
biography. Yeah.
There,
Hmm.
if you see, there is a line or a sizable content which says about how Steve Jobs is more like a reality distortion. He takes away someone else's idea and claims his own idea, all of
Yeah.
those. But
Yeah.
in this book, even though it's only about 20-30 percentage that he covers, the rest 60-70 percentage is about the book and the Pixar and all of this 20-30 percentage of someone who has spent time with him, lived with him for 20-30 years, and covers that, you will change your opinion.
Yeah.
For that reason, I want people to read this. So in this, I'll tell you one of the examples of Steve Jobs' vision. Okay, I was telling you about after he comes in to fund this
Right.
takeover, or fund the when George Lucas wants to spin off the
Computer graphics division,
computer
I believe.
graphics division,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
he puts in his own money because at that time, as I told you, he was undergoing the his own challenges with Apple next computers, all of those things.
Yeah.
He puts in his personal money of $5 million at that point in time to as a package deal, and then he gives in another 5 million from his own pocket to run the computer graphic division as a separate, and they
Yeah.
name it as Pixar, and all of those things happen, right? They go to Disney. Disney says, now we want to engage you. They sign a deal.
Right.
They sign a 3-movie deal, right?
Yeah.
Now, when they sign a 3-movie deal, 3-4 years it takes for the first movie, Toy Story, to come out.
Right.
When the movie is about to be released, few days before that, a few months, whatever, one day he he walks up to these two colleagues of his and says, we should go public with Pixar. And these guys are shocked. They say, oh, no, why don't, the fear factor. No, let us complete the other two movies also and then let us go public. He says, no, there is a reason why I'm telling this. He convinces them. He says, imagine that this movie is going to be a huge hit. Disney will come back to us for a renegotiation. At that time, we should be able to negotiate better.
Yeah.
So we need to go public. So these guys obviously get convinced because somebody is telling with so much of conviction, there is no way you can say no.
Yeah.
And he's giving the money also, right? So there is no way you can say no. Okay, then they give in. So before the release, these guys crisscross the entire US for fun and all of those things. And when the movie is released, 1 week from there, they go public. And I guess somewhere the biggest IPO of that year of $140 million or something like that, they come
Wow.
out with.
Yeah.
Just imagine. And to the surprise of Ed Catmull and John Lasseter, exactly what Steve Jobs has dreamt or has put forth, Disney calls them for a renegotiation, saying that let us do a 5-movie now, not anymore 3-movie. So
Yeah.
that time these guys say, okay, we're good, but it's no more the deal that we struck earlier. We will negotiate on a 50-50% deal.
Yeah. That's called visionary thinking and
Visionary,
genius, right? Yeah.
genius, isn't
Amazing.
it?
Very inspiring.
So
Yeah.
so so these things are not possible without vision or without your gut feeling, your farsight. You're able to look into the future. So that entire scene, there are many other scenes about him negotiating with some people. It's I would encourage everybody to have this book in their uh, home
Yeah.
for going through. They will not regret it. That's my
Sure.
personal view. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Anoop.
Uh,
I for sure am going to pick up the book and read it. And again, I'll come back and discuss some of those, excerpts from the book with you offline. Okay. Yeah.
Definitely. I look
Great.
forward to that. Thank you so
Certainly.
much for
Yeah.
giving me this opportunity, Madhavi.
Thank
I
you.
really,
Wonderful.
really enjoyed the conversation. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you
Let's
so
catch up
much.
once again.
Wonderful talking to you, Anoop. Thank you so
Same
much.
here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have
Yeah.
a good day.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.